Greetings all. I have today for you another Ace Tanker video, and in usual fashion I'll mix history with coverage of the game at hand here. This one is a bit of a nail biter, so we'll try and spend some time definitely talking about how this game progresses. But to kick this off, let's talk a little bit about the design of the Challenger tank. So the Challenger tank destroyer should not be confused with the Challenger main battle tank. And there was a Challenger 1 and I think a Challenger 2 main battle tank. This is the Cruiser Mark 8 Challenger, and it has the A30 designation to it. And you will notice that it basically looks like a Cromwell with a huge friggin' turret on top. And that's because that's what it is. Now, we'll pause the history lesson for a moment here and just want to explain as the match starts here. My plan is I want to go get up on the hill. It looks like I do need to play the role of a good old-fashioned TD in this game. And I want to take the opportunity to take some shots as the guys with the light tanks start to come out here and try and spot stuff. Now, that first shot, that was not good. I think in my defense, this was the first game I had played, not just in this tank, but I think at all on this particular day. So I was still kind of getting used to leading targets and that sort of thing and warming up. That's really about the only excuse that I can give. So switching back to the history, I'm actually going to just read from the Wikipedia page because it's got a lot of good information here. I recommend anybody who wants to know history on these various tanks, this is a great place to go for it, at least to get started. So the design, the turret mounted the 17-pounder gun required in the tank board specification, and the hull machine gun was removed to provide stowage space for the long 17-pounder cartridges. The War Office expected that this larger ammunition, together with its stowage forward, would require 2 loaders, which raised the turret crew to 4, the commander, gunner, loader 1, and loader 2. To fit the larger weapon and additional crewmen in the turret, a much larger turret than that of the Cromwell was specified. Developed separately, which had a significant effect on the design and was not resolved until later development of the Avenger. To carry the weight of the 17-pounder in ammunition, an extra wheel station and suspension arm was needed, lengthening the hull. This change in length, without a corresponding change in width across the tracks, reduced mobility compared to the Cromwell. Although the speed maintained high at 25 miles per hour, to limit the weight, the amount of armor was reduced, but this could only be achieved on the turret, 2.5 inches on the front and 1.6 inches on the sides, compared to 3 inches and 2.4 inches on the Cromwell. At the base of the turret, or as the base of the turret was unprotected, a jacking feature was fitted to clear jams. Additional length allowed larger hatches to be fitted to the hull while still clearing the turret, which actually made access easier than on the Cromwell. They finished the first, I'm going to paraphrase now, they finished the first Challenger in September of 1942, and at that time it was very effective against all of the tanks that it would face. It could penetrate them easily. The problem was, as in the game of World of Tanks, the Challenger is very susceptible to enemy gunfire. So back to the match at hand. Once the T-71 that was pushing up on us here was taken care of, that now allowed me to move nice and close up to the edge, extending my view range as far as possible, and now I can begin to open fire on all of these unsuspecting tanks down here. Actually, maybe they are expecting it. I like the way things are going in the north, but the south gives me some concern. We lost everything that we had down there, and I'm a bit worried that we could get flanked. So I'm keeping an eye on that, but for now I'm going to continue to stay the course here because I really don't want to engage any tanks directly and frontally because that's just not a strong suit of this. Now jumping back over to the Wikipedia page for a moment, let's talk about the performance of the Challenger. The 17-pounder gun mounted on the Challenger offered sufficient performance against the majority of German tanks, including the Tiger I and the Panther tank, and had a higher top speed and cross-country mobility than the Panzer IV or Stug III. The armor of the Challenger offered very little protection against contemporary German anti-tank guns and was lower than the Cromwell, which often operated with the Challengers. So they work together. We'll talk more about that in a moment. In combat, the Challenger fulfilled much of the same role as the Sherman Firefly, providing overwatch for the other tanks in the troop, as its 17-pound gun could penetrate almost all German AFVs frontally, unlike the 75mm. It was deployed in a similar manner at a troop level. This was typically one 17-pounder armed tank, such as the Challenger or Firefly, to 3 75mm armed tanks, Cromwells or Shermans. At times, the deployment of the 17-pounders was a ratio of 2 per troop. The Challenger was based on the reliable Cromwell tank, which used the new Rolls-Royce Meteor engine, which is far more reliable and powerful than the aging Liberty engine, which was used in the Crusader and some of the earlier British designs. The reliability was slightly below that of the Cromwell, as a problem was experienced with track throwing, but they figured that out in the field and got that sorted out. By comparison with the Firefly, the tank lacked the sloping front armor, but it presented a lower profile and avoided the Firefly's constraint of gun depression, which we can also experience in the game. The Challenger provided 10 degrees of gun depression, while the Firefly was limited to 5. And that basically sums it up. It's just a slightly better Firefly in some ways, and a worse Firefly in others. Let's jump back into the game now, because things are starting to get interesting. I have crossed the open field, something that I thought might get me killed, but generally the position of the enemy indicated that, again, using the speed, the Cromwell-like speed of this tank, I was able to quickly get across undetected and into cover on the ridge. So now I have a nice spot here to be able to put some force on the enemy and play more like a medium tank, because the team is beginning to kind of stagnate and not really be too effective anymore. Now, I'm going to warn you in a moment here, I'm going to do something that is probably going to be considered controversial. And it's actually something that came up in my last Ace Tanker video and may have seemed controversial then as well. What will it be? Let's wait and see. As we wait, I'm going to take a drink of coffee here. Alright, so I'm going to move in closer here. I want to take out this rather annoying little tank. And now we're into the controversy. This German heavy has found his way in between a rock and a hard place. The problem is, I can't get out of this position over here. I can't really retreat out of here. He can see me. Oddly, I can't see him right now, but I'm going to keep firing at that spot because I'm sure he hasn't moved. But I'm a firm believer in you don't want to damage farm when you're just farming damage for the sake of farming damage. Ooh, actually, I had gone dark. Very interesting. But sometimes either AFK tanks or compromised tanks that are on their side, etc., they're in a good spot to be able to locate you for their allies. And for that reason, I will oftentimes take the time to kill them if there's nothing else pressing on me at the time. Here, the clock is the main thing that's pressing. And this is where things get to be a little bit of a nail bite. So I want to move in. My plan is I'm going to flank around to the rear of this guy. But that gets abruptly halted when I see that ooey over there, and he kind of ends my plan. So now we have to have a new plan. And basically the new plan is hope that my allies can bail me out of this and can start to utilize my disruption of the enemy flanks. I take that shot there. He misses. He would still be on reload, and I should have stayed the gun a little longer there, and I didn't, and so the shot must have gone low and it went into the dirt and ended up being kind of useless. And then here I should have taken that shot a little bit sooner, but now I'm a one shot for anything, including a slight nick from small arms fire likely. I hope that I've gone dark. I must have, because I didn't get shot, and I just want to move in and get a better angle of fire. Unfortunately, I do get lit, and I hope that nobody's looking at me, but he is looking at me, and now I died. But I did get one more shot off. What surprised me at this point was how much damage I had done. I really didn't feel like I was having that good of a game, and I finally had a moment here to see that, oh wait, I actually did go pretty far towards carrying this, but unfortunately failed to deliver. And yeah, ends on a bit of a heartbreak. But overall, this is a great tank. I'm enjoying it quite a lot. You will notice I'm using the larger gun, and I like it. I think it feels better than in the old days. All you had was the option of the 17-pounder. World of Tanks kind of mixed things up here, and now they give you, I think it's a 20-pounder. Don't quote me on that. So despite the loss, it actually was an ace tanker. This is possible, if you ever doubted it. So not only was it the ace, got a few of the ribbons, lit a tank on fire, and managed to get high caliber. So I must have landed some of the blind shots that I was making, because as you can see here, I did a little over 4,000 damage, and that's a few clicks better than what was on the readout at the end of the game. So that was a nice added bonus. And then looking at the statistics in terms of hits and penetrations, not great, but at least I hit 22 out of the 27 shots I fired, having only 16 of them pen. Well, that wasn't so great. But hey, I did what I could. That's what all of us do, right? So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you enjoy the channel, please subscribe. Your subscriptions, your likes, they're what motivate me, keep me going, and life is really busy right now, so all the motivation I can get, I'll take it. Hope you have a wonderful day, and again, thanks for watching.